Hi everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen and I'm going to show you how to make Steve and a creeper from Minecraft out of gum paste. Okay, if you see any tools or supplies you see me using that you think you could use, if you check the link in the description below, it should be able to help you out. And I also have a whole bunch of other Minecraft videos, so if you need help with a different character, take a search. You'll probably find something that will also work. Alright, but to get to work on our Steve, as you can see, I've just got a couple pieces of wood on either side that I roll my gum paste between. This is gum paste, by the way, because I want it to firm up, hold its shape, be nice and strong. I roll it out so it's a nice even thickness, and then I start cutting rectangles and squares. The dark blue, as you can see, I had cut into a bit of a longer rectangle. The light blue is going to be more square shaped. The dark blue is going to end up being his pants, as you can see in the little picture in the corner. The light blue is going to be his shirt. I'm using my knife blade to go along the length of the dark blue to make separation, just to make an imprint to show that he's got two separate legs. I ram the whole thing through on a lollipop stick, as you can see here. And then using a little bit of water, press the two together. If you lose any shape, which you will, this is something that happens, you're going to have to use your paddles and everything, smooth it back together. I'm going to take that same light blue that I made his shirt, roll it out again the same thickness as the body, and I'm going to cut a skinny little rectangle here and then cut two little squares out of it. These are going to become the sleeves, as you see, on Steve's shirt. I'm just using a little bit of water on a paintbrush there to attach it. And then we're going to do one more little touch for his shirt. I rolled out the same light blue again, really thin this time. I didn't use any tools, I just rolled it out real thin. And I'm cutting a little rectangle that I'm building steps into. There's going to be 3 different levels to this little thing. So as you can see, it's kind of like steps that are upside down. This is going to be where his shirt is a little bit untucked in the corner there. So moving on, now we've got some gray. We're going to do his shoes with this. I'm not measuring anything because I'm starting to feel lazy at this point, because I've made about 1 billion Steves and it starts to get old. So I just rolled out some of the gray. I just felt like that was thick enough or thin enough, depending on your point of view, and put it on the stick. As you can see, I just put some marks on it to show where the rest of the legs will line up with it. Trim off the excess there, add a little bit of water to it, put it back on the stick, shove it on up there, and there you go. Now he's got feet. Don't forget to add a little pressure point there with your knife blade to separate him out, because now he has feet and not one giant foot. So that's a good thing. Taking this beige color here, made a big old square out of it. That's going to become his melon. We're going to put it on with a little bit of water, and as you can see, I trimmed off the extra of the lollipop stick to make it so it didn't shoot through the top of his head. So you don't want to be careful of that. Taking that same beige color again, and I rolled it out to the same thickness before as the sleeves. It's actually a little thinner, I think. And I'm putting it up. It's going to become his arms. When you add the arms, make sure they only go past the waist a little bit. Otherwise, they're going to look too long. It's going to look weird. Push them into place. Don't forget to keep everything nice and square. Keep your angles sharp. This brown that I have here is going to be his hair. I just cut out a long rectangle that I thought would work, and it turns out it did. Trim off the extra. There you go. He's got the back of his head done already. This is pretty easy, right? Like, the Minecraft characters really aren't hard. They're just a matter of taking your time to make your cuts and try to keep it as nice and sharp angled as possible. These 2 rectangles here, or excuse me, squares that I have here that I turn into letter L's are going to be his sideburns, the side of his head. And make sure that they face each other so you don't, you have the right cut. It's a little thinner at the top, a little thicker on the sides. And now he's like middle-aged Steve. So we're going to fix that. We're going to give him a little cap of hair on the top. Again, a rectangle I would cut out, trim off the excess, mark it with your knife or whatever you're using, cut it off, add it on with a little bit of water, press it down into place, tap his head on the countertop if you need to make it stay nice and flat, and then give him his bangs, because he is just rocking that look. It's just a long, thin rectangle, goes across the front. And now we are going to do his face. I am using that same color brown that I used for his hair for his mouth. I have a real skinny little rectangle there with 2 little squares. So my little skinny rectangle, real little guy, is going to be the main part of the mouth with 2 little squares on either side. See, the little corners are kind of touching there. That makes him happy. So now he's a happy Steve. I am taking some of that same beige color that I used to make his arms and his head, because I do jump around a little in case you're unfamiliar with me, to make a letter T, basically, a short little letter T, and I'm putting it right in the middle of his neck and on his shirt because apparently he wears V-necks. He's cool like that. Alright, now we're going to do his eyes. I've got that same blue color that I used for his pants. Cut out 2 little tiny squares. Using some white gum paste, cut out 2 little tiny squares. Try to make your little tiny squares of blue and white the same size. And then you're going to put a little square of white on the outside, a little bit of blue on the inside, almost like he's cross-eyed, but for some reason it doesn't look so bad. And then just line him up. I use a little bit of water to attach everything to his face. Make sure everything is nice and even in line with each other. There you go. Steve, right? Not too shabby. We're going to add one last little touch to him. I'm using an edible food coloring marker, and this is the dark blue, and I'm just putting little lines and dashes and dots over the blue part of his clothing just to kind of make him look a little more pixely, a little more Minecrafty. I'm doing the same thing with the brown marker on his hair, just around his hair, his head, his sideburns, you know, everything all around there. And there you go, Steve. Okay, now we're going to move on to the creeper, because where would Steve be without his creeper? I'm using my wooden sticks again to measure out my green gum paste, still using gum paste, and I cut out a cube that's going to be his head. Now I rolled out a thinner piece here. This is going to be his body. It's going to be rectangular, a little more flat than it will be thick, so you can see it's not quite even. When I put it through the lollipop stick and smooth it out with the fondant paddles, it really loses its shape. So that's why I'm trimming off the extra here. That's why I give myself that little bit of extra, because I know from experience this loses its shape when I ram it through. So trim it off, shape it up, there you go. Now, same thickness I'm using to cut out these 2 matching rectangles. I ended up making 2 pairs, so I got 4 of them all together. And those are going to be his legs. I'm going to put 2 on the front there, match it up to the bottom of his body. And then I'm going to decorate his face. I don't want to add the head and the back legs yet because I can't lay him down. And if I stand him up right now, it's going to be hard to show you how I did his face. So that's why I'm doing it this way. I have my black gum paste rolled out super duper thin. I'd cut out a bigger square, as you see, but the square would fit inside Creeper's face. That's how I know I'm not going to go too big. I cut out 2 squares, as square as I could make it, which, you know, isn't perfect, but do the best you can. And then I'm going to cut out a skinny little rectangle that goes between the eyes. It shouldn't go too much further than the distance between the eyes. And then a slightly thicker rectangle that goes vertically up and down from each corner of that little mouth. Now put some water on your body. Thread that head on there. It's going to lose its shape a little bit, so you're going to have to reshape it gently. Don't want to mess up the face or anything like that, so that's why I'm touching it back up. Now you can add those legs onto the back, or, you know, do it already if you don't have to show anybody how you're doing it. And there you go. Put a little bit of green food coloring marker on it. Make some little dashes and lines all around the sides and everything. And your creeper is pretty much ready to go. Now you've got a lovely creeper and a lovely Steve, and they are ready to go to Minecraft Cake Land, because that's a thing now. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, because that does help me out. I've got a lot of other Minecraft videos, like I mentioned, as well as other things out there too, so take a look. And as always, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.